you believe it? Just one pill can make you equal to the emperor. It turns out that the current emperor is nearing the end of his life. In over 10 years, he has issued 3 imperial edicts. Whoever can present the eternal youth pill will be granted a title and appointed as a chancellor. Now, even the title of side-by-side king is being offered. The side-by-side king is an existence equal to the emperor, the highest position in the land. To aspire higher, one would practically have the means to rebel. But Gu Qingfeng knew it couldn't be that simple, so he asked Li Qianren to explain the details. He learned that the eternal youth pill was created over 100 years ago by Qiu Yulong, a master of the way of the pill. In the world of alchemy, there's no definitive best pill, just as there is no second best in martial arts. Martial practitioners can determine the best through combat, but for the way of the pill, it's different. Each master alchemist excels in different pills, and it's hard to compare their value. However, Qiu Yulong, who crafted the eternal youth pill, was revered as the pill king. The pill doesn't grant eternal life, but can significantly extend one's life, reversing aging and altering fate. After all, only the living have opportunities. Sadly, Pill King died young. Although he had disciples, none could inherit his divine alchemy. Not wanting his methods to be lost, he left behind the Jade Dragon's secret realm, containing his life's work in the way of the pill and the divine alchemy, possibly even the eternal youth pill. The Jade Dragon's secret realm opens every 5 years, filled with arrays and challenges in the way of the pill. Only young alchemists below the true energy realm are allowed to select suitable successors. There's still a year until the next opening of the Jade Dragon's secret realm. Li Qianren's task for Gu Qingfeng is to enter this realm. Although it has been open for over 100 years, no one has claimed the inheritance. Li Qianren believes Gu Qingfeng at least has a chance. Alchemy primarily requires a talent in the soul, and other skills can be acquired. So, he advised Gu Qingfeng to consider carefully and not rush his decision. After some thought, Gu Qingfeng realized that if he succeeded, Li Qianren, as the recommender, would also be rewarded. If he succeeded, wouldn't he become a lord with endless wealth? And if not, there's no penalty. So, Gu Qingfeng decisively accepted the task, thinking it could be an adventure at worst. With the system on his side, he believed he would eventually become an immortal. Li Qianren then prepared to arrange for Gu Qingfeng to learn alchemy and cultivate his fire attribute body. Gu Qingfeng shook his head and said to Li Qianren, "Lordly, you don't need to prepare any pills to enhance my fire attribute, because my fire mastery talent should be at the maximum level." Saying this, Gu Qingfeng drew his wooden sword from his waist and used his fire mastery ability to form a fire dragon. Witnessing this, Li Qianren couldn't help but admire physical talent, soul talent, and fire control talent. "I find that you're quite capable in everything except cultivation." Gu Qingfeng felt a bit awkward at these words and said, "Lordly, speaking like that, you might ruin the cool image I have of you in my mind." Before leaving, Gu Qingfeng suddenly thought of something and asked Li Qianren for the locust tree sprite from the first level of the demon-quelling prison. Although Li Qianren didn't know what Gu Qingfeng wanted the locust tree sprite for, he agreed without asking further questions. After Gu Qingfeng left, a shadow emerged from a corner, informing Li Qianren, "He noticed me just now. Though he didn't detect me with his soul, his expression changed unnaturally when I was spying on him from the shadows. He didn't look at me, but I know he sensed me. I suspect his body might have been taken over by another soul. His soul power seems less like a talent and more like he's possessed by a strong entity. There's no demonic aura, so the possessor must be a human grandmaster." Li Qianren, however, was unconcerned. If he really is possessed by a grandmaster, then his chances of success are even higher. "I didn't expect him to possess such strong fire control talent. This increases my confidence. Now, nothing else matters. I just want the eternal youth pill." The shadowy figure asked, "Is it worth it? Once you do this, you'll be making an enemy of the entire world. You have a bright future ahead. In the future, you might even surpass a grandmaster and have a chance to reach higher levels." But before he could finish, Li Qianren interrupted him harshly. "Shut up. Do you really think I wouldn't dare to kill you?" The shadow didn't say anything more inside before disappearing on the spot. Meanwhile, Gu Qingfeng returned to his residence, tossing and turning in bed. He had sensed another person in the hall earlier, a grandmaster level expert, but he suspected it might be Li Qianren's secret guard. After much contemplation, Gu Qingfeng felt that every word Li Qianren said seemed to be luring him into accepting the task. The reason remained unclear to him, and Li Qianren's excessive kindness felt oddly dissonant. Unable to figure it out, he decided to let it go. What does it matter what his intentions are? It's all about the Jade Dragon's secret realm a year from now. Who can predict tomorrow, let alone a year from now? We'll deal with it when the time comes. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. A handsome, muscular man walked in with a chest, indicating that it was a reward from Lord Li. Since the position of mysterious ranked demon exorcist at the Demon Quelling Bureau was filled, Gu Qingfeng was to hold a nominal position as an assistant to Manhwa, but with the same salary as a real mysterious ranked demon exorcist. Relieved about the money, Gu Qingfeng told the man to attend to his own matters if there was nothing else. As for the vacancy issue, that's an inconvenience for Lord He, Gu Qingfeng mused, but for the sake of his gold, let's allow Lord He to live a few more days. He then stored all the gold in his other dimensional space. Now that he had money, it was time to think of other things. Wanting to see little corpse charmer, whom he hadn't seen in a while, Gu Qingfeng decided to check on her progress with her posture training. As the saying goes, a long absence is as good as a new marriage. As soon as Gu Qingfeng opened the cell door, little corpse charmer affectionately embraced him, continuously calling him master. She plaintively took off her shoes to show him the injuries she had sustained from dancing these past days. Unexpectedly, Gu Qingfeng unromantically grabbed her foot, picked her up, and said, "Stop fussing. You're a corpse. What pain could you feel? Hurry up and show me the results of your practice." Following this, Gu Qingfeng called the eye demon to act as a projector, setting up a scene in the prison cell that transformed it into a stage. As the music started, the cell instantly became a performance space. However, Gu Qingfeng still felt something was missing, so he instructed little corpse charmer to change into a different outfit and dance the choreography he had taught her. Watching the familiar dance moves synchronized with the familiar music, Gu Qingfeng nodded in satisfaction, remarking, "Not bad. It feels good to have a bit of home." But the joyous moments were always fleeting. After a while, Gu Qingfeng yawned, remembering the day's primary objective. He then headed to the locust tree sprite cell. Surprised by Gu Qingfeng's sudden visit, the locust tree sprite greeted him with a smile. "Master, you have arrived. Congratulations on obtaining the Wood King sword." Gu Qingfeng responded with a smile. "Congratulations to you as well. I came today to celebrate for you." The locust tree sprite, puzzled, asked what there was to celebrate. Gu Qingfeng said with a slight smile, "Congratulations on leaving this dreadful place. I will take you to a better place." The locust tree sprite, sensing an opportunity, asked if Gu Qingfeng intended to release him from the demon-quelling prison. While speaking, the locust tree sprite hit a spike in his hand behind his back. But before he could act, Gu Qingfeng swiftly stabbed first. The locust tree sprite tried to argue that he had contributed by offering the Wood King sword and hoped for mercy from Gu Qingfeng. However, Gu Qingfeng had seen through his intentions, knowing that the supposed gift of the Wood King sword was actually a ploy to harm him with the sword's backlash. If not for Gu Qingfeng's unique talents, he might have fallen for this trap. Soon, the Wood King sword began to emit a green light, exerting a powerful suction force that drained all the energy from the locust tree sprite. In a short time, the sprite's energy was completely sapped, leaving it lifeless on the ground. Simultaneously, a system notification announced that the Wood King sword had been upgraded from a lower-tier mysterious rank to a middle-tier mysterious rank. Looking at the locust tree sprite's corpse, Gu Qingfeng thought it shouldn't go to waste. He planned to use the tree bark for the talisman production line, which could potentially create many talismans. So, he placed the locust tree sprite's body into his other dimensional space and then left the cell, ready to head to the merit hall to exchange for some items. The attendant, upon seeing Gu Qingfeng's mere energy gathering realm level, showed obvious impatience and casually pointed him towards the low-rank items catalog, letting Gu Qingfeng browse it himself. To the attendant's surprise, Gu Qingfeng then placed a demon exorcism token containing 1,000,000 merits and the appointment document for a mysterious rank demon exorcist on the table. The attendant was stunned. He had never encountered an energy-gathering realm 4th stage cultivator with mysterious rank demon exorcist status and 1,000,000 merits, a feat including the defeat of 7 demon generals. After several verifications, he reluctantly accepted this reality and respectfully handed the catalog to Gu Qingfeng. Gu Qingfeng, browsing the catalog, saw an array of treasures and elixirs that dazzled him, a common reaction for those exchanging merits for the first time. Gu Qingfeng asked for one of each item listed in the catalog. However, the attendant explained that his merits were insufficient, as the catalog contained high-rank elixirs, each incredibly valuable and mostly stored at the Great Flame Dynasty Demon Quelling Bureau headquarters. For example, a single Heavenly Fragrance life-extending pill cost 100,000 merits, beyond the attendant's authority and Gu Qingfeng's current merit balance. Gu Qingfeng's mood darkened instantly. "Why are you showing me items from the Great Flame Dynasty Demon Quelling Bureau headquarters? I want items from the Phoenix Tree County branch," he retorted, having assumed his 1,000,000 merits could empty the entire merit hall. The attendant then provided a catalog of elixirs available at the Phoenix Tree County branch. Gu Qingfeng picked up the middle-rank elixirs catalog, found the prices reasonable, and again tossed the entire catalog on the table. "Give me one of each item in this catalog. I should be able to afford them now. If you have them here, bring them to me quickly," he requested, ready to make his selections. The butler hurriedly began to assist Gu Qingfeng in finding items from the catalog. After listing the shopping list, however, he couldn't help but criticize in his mind, thinking, "Is this Gu Qingfeng an idiot? Everyone else buys elixirs per piece or per bottle, but he buys them by the book. Did something happen to him?" Gu Qingfeng, unconcerned with what others thought, confidently signed his name. This time, apart from elixirs, he also exchanged for a few spirit weapons and techniques. The first was the Cosmic Balance Ring, capable of storing items. This is perfect. The other dimensional space lacks an entrance. With this ring as a medium for cover, using the other dimensional space to store things will be much more convenient. He also acquired the Swift Wind Sturdy Shoes, a lower-grade mysterious rank spirit weapon. As a wind attribute auxiliary spirit weapon, it offers lightness, speed, and harmony harnessing the wind, allowing for brief flight and compensating for his lack of speed. The Pure Bright Limitless skill, an advanced version of the Pure Bright technique, was another choice. It is extremely challenging to practice. Only a tenth of the absorbed Pure Bright True Energy can be converted into Pure Bright Limitless True Energy. Accumulating 100 strands of Pure Bright Limitless True Energy is necessary to break through to the next realm. Gu Qingfeng, considering himself a genius, felt that the Pure Bright technique was too elementary for him, and only a high-status technique like the Pure Bright Limitless skill suited his temperament. Upon exiting the merit hall with his items, Gu Qingfeng saw that Fatty Wong and Su Fan had been waiting for a while. They were there to invite him to a celebration banquet set at the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion, known for its music and entertainment. The pavilion was already crowded, with a woman on stage sensually swaying her hips to the music, drawing lecherous gazes from the elderly men below. Gu Qingfeng, impressed by the woman's attire and the ambience, planned to let little corpse charmer try it out as well. Just then, a young servant blocked his path, respectfully presenting a tray of cards and explaining, "Please flip a card, sir. There are 3 rows of cards. The top row represents the head courtesan, the middle row the courtesan, and the bottom row the flower girl, indicating the 3 tiers of our Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion's ladies. The quality decreases from top to bottom, as does the price. If you fancy any lady, just flip her card." Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng couldn't help but be impressed. "Indeed, you really know how to enjoy yourselves." Without hesitation, Gu Qingfeng flipped over 2 cards of head courtesans, selecting Like a Flower and Like Jade. These 2 were the rare sister courtesans among the head courtesans of Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion. After choosing for himself, he didn't forget his brothers, urging Fatty Wong and Su Fan to pick one as well. Their delighted expressions were evident as the celebration banquet began. Not only were there beautiful women accompanying them, but also scantily clad dancers gyrating sensually, adding to the lively atmosphere. Fatty Wong and Su Fan were thoroughly enjoying themselves, joyously toasting and drinking. Meanwhile, in a dark dungeon somewhere, a man cloaked in a black robe was discussing something with a stunning woman in red. The man's hoarse voice emanated from beneath a red mask. "You're here. Mirror Demon is dead, and the blood god he carried is missing." The woman in red was momentarily stunned. "Missing? How is that possible? Blood gods can sense each other. Have you tried?" The man shook his head. "I can't sense it. Perhaps someone used a special method to hide the blood god and sever its connection with us. That's why I need you to investigate." According to our followers, the one who killed Mirror Demon is named Gu Qingfeng, a demon exorcist from Phoenix Tree County Demon Quelling Bureau, with only the 4th level of Energy Gathering Realm. The woman chuckled lightly. "Energy Gathering Realm 4th level? Interesting." Mirror Demon left a mark on Gu Qingfeng before dying. The mark shows he's currently at Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion in Phoenix Tree County. "I have a split presence there. I'll handle it." It's also a good opportunity to personally thank him for killing Mirror Demon and resolving my annoyance. Back in the private room of Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion, Gu Qingfeng was about to get closer to the girl he chose when suddenly a commotion arose outside. It turned out that Red Carp, the top courtesan of the pavilion, had appeared, causing a stir among the patrons. Hearing that the top courtesan had emerged, Gu Qingfeng immediately lost interest in the girl beside him and left the room without a second glance, much to the girl's dissatisfaction. "Sir, didn't you say I have a sign of great danger and you were going to help me turn misfortune into fortune? Why are you leaving?" Gu Qingfeng quickly made his way to the hall, eager to see the top courtesan for himself. As the room finally opened, the Red Carp courtesan, dressed in red, emerged amid the gasps of the guests. Like a celestial maiden descending from the heavens, she gracefully leapt from the 2nd floor, gently gliding down to the center of the stage on a red ribbon, and began to dance with the music. Her enchanting dance won thunderous applause and captivated the audience. Even the falling petals were eagerly fought over by many, as if they carried her fragrance. Gu Qingfeng, too, reached out to grab a petal but caught nothing, realizing that Red Carp was using an illusion. Such a level of illusion could easily be broken by those with a slightly strong will, but Fatty Wong and Su Fan were completely absorbed. Gu Qingfeng, frustrated by their lack of resistance, punched Fatty Wong to snap him out of the illusion, reprimanding him for falling for such a simple trick and telling him not to embarrass him. Fatty Wong, however, looked regretful. "Lord Gu, you're missing out on so much fun by being so serious. We're here to enjoy ourselves, especially in a place like this." Red Carp is famous in Phoenix Tree County for her unparalleled illusion and charm skills. Many come here just to experience these arts and compensate for the regrets of reality. Why not enjoy it? Gu Qingfeng glanced around at the guests, all seemingly happy and lost in the illusion, so he too eagerly jumped down from the upper floor to experience it for himself. Unfortunately, just as he landed, Red Carp finished her dance and went to rest, leaving a maid to relay a message. She invited everyone to relax, promising another chance to see her. Red Carp had set a challenge. Anyone who could answer her question could join her in the backyard for a night of wine and conversation. Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng excitedly raised his hand, thinking, "Isn't this just like the typical plot in stories? The protagonist goes to a brothel, impresses everyone with recited poems from past lives, and wins the admiration of of the head courtesan. It seems I too have the luck of a protagonist to encounter such an opportunity. The maid then unfolded a scroll, revealing numerous vibrant flowers painted on it. Gu Qingfeng initially thought the challenge would be about flowers and felt a surge of excitement, thinking, this is too easy. I can think of countless poems on the spot. However, to his surprise, the challenge turned out to be a test of identifying illusions. The maid gently shook the scroll, and suddenly, the painted flowers seemed to come alive, covering the entire stage. This scroll is the 100 flowers in full bloom painted by Red Carp herself. Among these, only 3 are real flowers, and the rest are illusions. The challenge is to find these 3 real flowers. Each person can only choose one, and the first 3 who find a real flower will get to meet Red Carp in the backyard. You may begin now. As soon as the announcement was made, Gu Qingfeng was about to team up with Fatty Wong and Su Fan, but he turned to find they had already started searching on their own. Many guests quickly picked flowers and brought them to the maid for verification, only to be disappointed as they were all illusions. Seeing this, Gu Qingfeng decided to use his Grandmaster level soul power to scan the area. In a short while, he successfully located a real flower, plucked it, and presented it to the maid for verification. Upon seeing the flower, the maid announced, "Let us congratulate this gentleman for being the first to find a real flower." The unexpected result of the competition led to a stir among the guests, who suspected foul play by the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion. They couldn't believe that someone at the 4th level of the energy gathering realm, like him, could find the real flower faster than those in the true energy realm. However, the maidservant, accustomed to such skepticism, chose to ignore it and proceeded to lead Gu Qingfeng to the backyard. Fatty Wong wanted to follow, but Gu Qingfeng decisively refused, leaving him to stay with Su Fan. In contrast to the lively front courtyard, the backyard was tranquil and elegant. Gu Qingfeng, guided by a maid, arrived at room number 1 to rest. Soon, the guests who had found the real flower in rooms 2 and 3 arrived. It turned out that Red Carp Miss had set up 3 challenges. After entering the rooms, there were 2 more stages to pass. The room number indicated the order of the challenges, starting from room 1 and ending with room 3. Anyone who passed all stages would be chosen as a special guest. As Gu Qingfeng was about to enter his room, a competitor from room 2 suddenly pressed a sword sheath against his neck. Seeing that Gu Qingfeng was merely a 4th level practitioner of the energy gathering realm and had found the real flower first, the competitor assumed it was mere luck and tried to forcibly take his room. However, Gu Qingfeng remained unfazed, challenging him to attack. This infuriated the man, who drew his sword and struck at Gu Qingfeng, only to hit his golden bell shield, unable to harm him at all. Realizing he couldn't defeat Gu Qingfeng, the man turned to leave, but was stopped by Gu Qingfeng's words, "Stop. If I didn't have the golden bell shield today, what would your sword have done to me?" The man scoffed, "You would have died." Of course, in the world of martial practitioners, the strong live and the weak perish. Enraged by the man's disregard for life and his willingness to kill a stranger for a mere test, Gu Qingfeng retorted, "It's a pity you are the weaker one now. Go to hell." That, he threw a punch, which the man narrowly dodged. As the man drew his sword again, Gu Qingfeng broke it with a single punch, leaving him in disbelief. The man then abandoned his sword and aimed a powerful palm strike at Gu Qingfeng's face. But before the strike could land, Gu Qingfeng caught his hand, effortlessly breaking it with a twist. He then grabbed the man by the neck. It was only then that the man, realizing the gravity of his situation, desperately begged for mercy. Gu Qingfeng responded to the man's pleas for mercy with a faint smile. "When you were about to kill others, you were self-righteous. Why do you beg for mercy now? You lack the self-awareness of being the weaker party. If you die, you die. Isn't that right? But killing you would dirty my hands. Your twisted worldview won't change just because you're dead. So, I'll let you live, to correct your mistakes for a lifetime. I'll destroy your elixir field and meridians, and from now on, you'll be the weakling you so despise." Saying this, Gu Qingfeng directly struck the man's elixir field, nullifying all his cultivation. The man vomited blood from the loss of his powers and fainted. However, a maid questioned Gu Qingfeng's harsh response, asking why he had to inflict such severe injuries when he himself was unharmed. Gu Qingfeng realized she was being overly idealistic and retorted, "He just slapped me. Isn't it only fair that I retaliate? What would you suggest I do?" The maid insisted on a peaceful resolution, arguing that there was no need for violence since the man had acknowledged Gu Qingfeng's strength and had no intention of taking the room. Gu Qingfeng knew it was pointless to reason with her and slapped her in response. Shocked, she threatened him, saying she was a favorite of their young lady, who knew many influential people in Phoenix Tree County. Gu Qingfeng smiled and sarcastically suggested she should promote peace, which infuriated her. She threatened to tell her mistress, but before she could finish, Gu Qingfeng grabbed her throat and calmly said, "Do you have a misunderstanding about me? Just because I speak kindly, you think I'm easy to talk to? Didn't you say we should value peace? Why do you react differently when you're the victim? Don't worry, I won't kill you. You and that man share the same twisted beliefs. That's a sickness that needs to be cured. Luckily, I specialize in curing such diseases. Today, I'm in a good mood, so I won't charge you for the treatment." Having finished speaking, Gu Qingfeng directly used the pupil technique, illusory vision, on her, making her suffer various forms of bullying in the illusion. When she tried to resist, Someone would always step forward, smiling and advising her to value peace above all. This cycle repeated until her worldview was completely changed, and only then did the illusion disappear. After doing this, Gu Qingfeng turned and entered his room. Moments later, a series of footsteps approached. It was the top courtesan of the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion, Red Carp. She approached the maid, gently tapped her forehead, and began to read the illusionary scenes the maid was experiencing. Then, she revealed an intriguing smile and said, "What a powerful illusion. Interesting." She then pushed the door open and entered, her face full of smiles as she said, "Master Gu's illusion technique is truly brilliant. It's an eye-opener for Red Carp." Gu Qingfeng turned and modestly replied, "You flatter me, Miss Red Carp." At the same time, he couldn't help but inwardly exclaim, a head courtesan is indeed different from those ordinary, vulgar courtesans. However, Red Carp shook her head and said, "I'm not just being polite. I genuinely admire it. People always praise me for my mesmerizing illusions, but my humble skills are nothing but child's play in the eyes of a master like you. My maid benefiting from such a brilliant illusion is also a great gain. I should actually thank you." Surprised by her words, Gu Qingfeng asked, "You're not angry with me? Instead, you want to thank me?" Red Carp nodded and said, "Exactly. My maid often hears flattering words by my side and becomes increasingly arrogant, always imposing her thoughts on others. I've reprimanded her a few times, but scolding is never as pleasing as flattery. She always forgets my words. If you could help her correct her ways, I naturally should thank you. The law of the survival of the fittest is the simplest truth. They provoke someone they shouldn't have and should pay a price for it." After saying this, she took Gu Qingfeng by the hand and led him to her boudoir. Then, while pouring wine, she asked about Gu Qingfeng's name. Gu Qingfeng felt that calling each other by name was too formal, so he suggested that she call him Good Brother instead. Red Carp complied and called him Good Brother in a soft and tingling voice, which made Gu Qingfeng's nose bleed. He immediately embraced Red Carp, but as he was about to take the next step, Red Carp pressed down his restless hand and swiftly left his embrace. She turned around, smiled seductively, and said, "I apologize for my maid's earlier offense. As an apology, let me dance for you, Good Brother. I hope you won't hold it against us." Gu Qingfeng, interested, responded, Sure, but I prefer a cooler dance." "Is that possible?" Red Carp giggled and said, "As my good brother wishes." She then began a cool dance, showcasing her fiery figure in front of Gu Qingfeng. Watching her, Gu Qingfeng became thirsty and finally couldn't resist. He stepped forward and embraced Red Carp, who willingly lay in his arms. She then softly suggested, "Good brother, the night is cool as water. Why don't we have a drink to warm up?" She got up, poured a cup of wine for Gu Qingfeng, held the cup filled with wine in her mouth, knelt before him, and drank it up. The pale purple wine flowed down her neck, covering her body. Gu Qingfeng was startled and pushed Red Carp away, exclaiming, "Why is this wine pale purple? It's not poisoned, is it?" Red Carp, enduring the pain in her buttocks from being pushed, explained, "This is purple bright wine, brewed in a purple bamboo vessel and infused with purple energy, hence the pale purple color. This wine is very rare and extremely valuable. I earn my living through dancing and would never dream of poisoning such a precious wine." Gu Qingfeng scratched his head, surprised by the wine's value. Seeing his naive reaction, Red Carp couldn't help but feel a bit annoyed, but still restrained herself. She got up again to pour another cup for Gu Qingfeng. He looked at the wine, wondering, how should I drink such expensive wine to show class? Should I sip it or down it in one gulp? Noticing Gu Qingfeng staring at the wine, Red Carp felt a sudden pang of worry. Did I give something away? Does he suspect I poisoned the wine? No, that can't be. The blood essence charm is colorless and tasteless, undetectable even by a grandmaster. Besides, he's just a weak practitioner in the 4th level of the energy gathering realm. Thinking this, Red Carp threw herself into Gu Qingfeng's arms, looking very wronged, and said, "Good brother, why aren't you drinking? Are you afraid I poison it to harm you?" Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng bit the bullet and said, "How could I ever suspect my dear sister?" After saying this, Gu Qingfeng took the cup of wine from Red Carp and downed it in one gulp. Excellent wine. It starts off cool and then warms up like the rising sun as it enters the stomach. Soft on the lips, a thread in the throat, cold in the body, warm in the heart. My dear sister, are you the same? Hearing this, Red Carp was momentarily stunned, thinking maybe she had used too little poison, so she turned around and poured another cup for Gu Qingfeng. Gu Qingfeng unhesitatingly took the wine, ready to drink it all again, when suddenly a system notification sounded, alerting him to an attack by a shadow demon. His poison resistance increased by 1,000, and he gained the talent immune to 100 poisons. Receiving the system notification, Gu Qingfeng pointed at the wine and said, "This wine is poisoned. Don't drink it." "I will." He then snatched the wine cup from Red Carp and downed it in one gulp. The system notified him again of an attack by the shadow demon and an additional 1,000 increase in poison resistance. Seeing Gu Qingfeng's carefree attitude, Red Carp wondered if he was a fool, especially since he had killed the mirror demon. Was the information really accurate? Meanwhile, Gu Qingfeng was thinking, why has only my poison resistance increased? It seems I haven't drunk enough. With this thought, he turned his gaze to the wine pot on the table. Tossing aside his cup, he excitedly said, "Let me tell you, there's a saying in my hometown, if you don't won't drink to your heart's content, you might as well take a beating. If you don't let me drink to my satisfaction today, you definitely won't get away. Red Carp was utterly baffled upon hearing this, wondering if she had forgotten to poison the wine. Meanwhile, Gu Qingfeng paid her no mind and started gulping down from the wine jug. The delightful system notification continuously sounded, congratulating him on reaching the maximum poison resistance and acquiring the talent immune to 1,000 poisons. After finishing the wine, Gu Qingfeng casually tossed the jug aside, causing the remaining liquid to react with the ground, hissing and fizzing. This sight left Red Carp completely dumbfounded. However, Gu Qingfeng still wasn't satisfied. He pulled out a packet of something, which startled Red Carp. Isn't that my poison? Did he take it from me earlier? He knew all along. But to her shock, Gu Qingfeng poured the entire packet of poison into his mouth. The system then notified him of reaching the maximum poison resistance again and acquiring the talent immune to 10,000 poisons. Still feeling unsatisfied after consuming the packet of poison, Gu Qingfeng coldly demanded, "Well, my dear sister, do you have any more? Bring out the poison quickly. I hope you won't be ungrateful." Red Carp tried to feign ignorance, saying, "Good brother, what are you talking about? I don't understand." But Gu Qingfeng, looking disdainful, retorted, "Stop pretending. Just bring me more poison, and I won't pursue your attempt to kill me. Otherwise, you'll end up like this table." Realizing her scheme was exposed, Red Carp's expression darkened, and she launched an attack on Gu Qingfeng. Facing her punch, Gu Qingfeng merely smiled slightly and then punched out, blowing up Red Carp's head. Her headless body fell to the ground with a thud and lay motionless for a while. Just when Gu Qingfeng thought she was dead, black mist began to rise from the neck of the headless corpse. As the mist thickened, the body stood up and the blown-up head visibly regenerated. Before she could say anything, Gu Qingfeng burst half her head again with a kick, then dissatisfiedly said, "Daring to call me good brother without any more poison wine. Do you think you deserve it?" Upon hearing Gu Qingfeng's taunts, Red Carp, now revealed as the Shadow Demon, second of the 7 demon generals, became thoroughly enraged. Black mist poured out from her, quickly filling the entire room. Gu Qingfeng, familiar with this sensation of spatial distortion, couldn't help but comment, "You value this dark domain so much, yet you use it so casually. Is it not very precious among you 7 demon generals? If I'm not mistaken, you must be the second-ranked Shadow Demon." Realizing her identity had been exposed, Shadow Demon didn't panic. Instead, she transformed into a black mist and vanished. Gu Qingfeng, prepared for this, retrieved his weapon from the other dimensional space and defended himself, sensing the killing intent behind him. He easily blocked Shadow Demon's lethal strike, but when he turned around, she had disappeared again, only to reappear behind him and land a heavy blow on his back. The system then notified him, "Host attacked by Shadow Demon. Shadow attribute increased by 100. Confused by the term Shadow attribute, Gu Qingfeng decided to focus on dealing with the Shadow Demon first. He closed his eyes, sensing the changes around him, and suddenly swung his blade, aiming for Shadow Demon's neck. She evaded the blade, but had a few strands of her hair cut off. Surprised, she looked at Gu Qingfeng, who took advantage of her momentary distraction to strike again, then swiftly threw his blade, leaving a visible scar on her face. Gu Qingfeng began to taunt her. "Did you become second in command through underhanded means? You don't seem as tough as the Mirror Demon. Are you sure you're the real second of the 7 demon generals? You're so weak." Unexpectedly, Shadow Demon, instead of getting angry, laughed and began tearing at her own facial skin. "It seems my dear brother underestimates me. Well then, let me show you my true skills and give you a proper fight." A shadowy figure then emerged from Red Carp's body, discarding the beautiful outer skin on the ground. This figure continued to call Gu Qingfeng good brother, causing him to feel nauseated. Recalling their recent interactions, Gu Qingfeng couldn't help but vomit, disgusted at the thought of what he had done with this gender-ambiguous being. Increasingly repulsed, Gu Qingfeng drew his Wood King sword and prepared to strike down this ambiguous entity. Launching a deadly move, Burn Bright Sword, he sliced Shadow Demon in two with his sword energy. However, to his astonishment, the Shadow Demon's body, shrouded in black mist at the waist, swiftly healed and rejoined. Elementalization, the term flashed through Gu Qingfeng's mind. Undeterred, he wielded the Wood King sword again, using the Greenwood Dragon Trap attack, but it was futile. The tendrils passed through Shadow Demon's body, which quickly recovered. The Shadow Demon taunted Gu Qingfeng, "Don't you get it? I am a shadow. What in this world can harm a shadow?" Before she could finish, Gu Qingfeng launched a fiery attack, but Shadow Demon remained unscathed, prompting Gu Qingfeng to ponder deeply. It can defend against any physical and spell attack. If it can't be hit, there's no chance of winning. No wonder Mirror Demon ranks below it. What kind of monsters are these 7 demon generals? Despite Shadow Demon being in front of him, Gu Qingfeng felt a killing intent from behind. When he turned, Shadow Demon appeared at his back, her shadow having seemingly come to life, wielding a shadowy Wood King sword and slashing at Gu Qingfeng. The system kept notifying him of the attacks, increasing his shadow attribute by 100 each time. Gu Qingfeng, unfazed by these superficial scratches, mocked, "Is this supposed to tickle me?" Shadow Demon, visibly shocked, acknowledged, "Such a strong physique. Is this your confidence? It seems I have to resort to my last move." After speaking, Shadow Shadow Demon vanished again, and in the next instant, she swung a huge shadow-formed blade at Gu Qingfeng. Surprisingly, Gu Qingfeng easily blocked the attack with a mere gesture of his hand. The system then notified him, host attacked by Shadow Demon. Shadow attribute increased by 1000. Congratulations, host's shadow attribute has exceeded the limit. Ability acquired, Shapeshift Shadow Swap. You can instantly move between any connected shadows. If the shadows are not connected, this skill cannot be activated. With this new skill, Gu Qingfeng instantly understood how Shadow Demon was able to appear behind him so suddenly. Realizing that Shadow Demon could perform limitless instant movement within her dark domain, Gu Qingfeng then pretended to be severely injured, collapsing to the ground and exclaiming, "I feel so terrible. That clash just now shattered my meridians. Your strength, as the second ranked of the 7 demon generals, is truly admirable. Today, I, Gu Qingfeng, acknowledge you as the strongest." Shadow Demon, taken aback, thought that her energy for maintaining the dark domain was running low and she needed to leave quickly to find another way to deal with Gu Qingfeng. She retorted, "Your acting is too exaggerated for my taste," and then vanished again, leaving Gu Qingfeng speechless. "Don't you understand drama? Not playing along with my act. If I let you escape today, I won't be called Gu." Then, using the Shapeshift Shadow Swap, Gu Qingfeng disappeared and chased after Shadow Demon all the way to the outskirts of Phoenix Tree County. Now just a mere clone with little energy left, Shadow Demon was about to catch her breath when she sensed the fluctuation of shadow power. Turning towards the source, she saw Gu Qingfeng had caught up. She immediately backed away to create distance and demanded, "Who exactly are you? Why can you also use Shapeshift Shadow Swap? Are you also of the Shadow Clan?" Gu Qingfeng replied indifferently, "Who I am is not important. What matters is why you didn't play along with my act." After saying this, he made a fierce grab at Shadow Demon, who disappeared once again, reappearing at a distance. Suddenly, a rabbit darted out in front of him. Startled at first, Shadow Demon relaxed after seeing it was just a rabbit. However, no sooner had the rabbit passed than Gu Qingfeng's head popped out from behind, saying, "Ever wonder why the timid rabbit ran towards the danger of your direction? It's because it was scared off by something even more dangerous, me." Following this, Gu Qingfeng let out a sinister laugh. Frightened, Shadow Demon couldn't help but scream for help. "Someone's attacking a demon. Wait, I am the demon." Realizing her situation, Shadow Demon again created distance between herself and Gu Qingfeng and negotiated, "Gu Qingfeng, both of us can use Shapeshift Shadow Swap. Continuing this chase is pointless. Why not call it quits?" But Gu Qingfeng shook his head. "No, that won't do. If I don't finish you today, I might as well take your name. I have no plans to change my name or surname. Besides, you're just a shadow, which only appears in darkness. Where there's sunlight, there won't be any shadows." Realizing this, Gu Qingfeng had an epiphany. To counter Shapeshift Shadow Swap, he needed to eliminate the shadows. Light was the key to dispelling shadows, and thus his greatest weapon against Shadow Demon. With a stern look, he asked, "Do you believe in light?" Then he activated his fire mastery talent, igniting fierce flames around him, illuminating the entire forest like daylight. Shadow Demon, dark as ink, had nowhere to hide in the light. Unable to use her shifting ability and spotted by Gu Qingfeng while trying to flee, she found her escape route blocked by a blazing ball of fire. Despite being cornered, Shadow Demon stubbornly retorted, "Even if you've blocked my escape, what of it? I can feel that the shadow energy in you is running low. We can keep this up, and neither of us will gain anything." Gu Qingfeng responded, "You might have misunderstood. I didn't trap you because I want to kill you." This left Shadow Demon perplexed. "You don't want to kill me? Are you after information about the Blood Demon sect, or is it about the poison?" But to her surprise, Gu Qingfeng clarified, "I have no interest in the Blood Demon sect or the poison. I just want you to beat me up. If you can satisfy me with your attack, I'll let you go. How about that?" Shadow Demon was taken aback, wondering if Gu Qingfeng had some peculiar inclination, and crossed her arms in a defiant stance. However, Gu Qingfeng simply smiled slightly and explained, "According to the records, Shapeshift Shadow Swap requires soul power for positioning. Your ability to use this technique indicates you have a soul, and since your Shapeshift Shadow Swap range isn't as far as mine, it suggests your soul isn't stronger than mine. Your avatar, Red Carp, is known for illusion and charm. While your illusion techniques are sophisticated, they lack quality, indicating that your soul is your weakness. That's why you constantly train yourself using your avatar. So, have you decided? Will you do as I say?" After this, Gu Qingfeng employed the pupil technique, the illusory vision. Shadow Demon stubbornly resisted, prompting Gu Qingfeng to pull her into an illusion. Standing alone in the void, he transformed his soul power into countless swords. With a slight wave of his hand, a rain of swords descended on Shadow Demon. She frantically tried to dodge, but due to the density of the sword rain, many soul-formed swords pierced her body, dimming her inky black form with each hit. Gu Qingfeng, looking down from above like a deity, said, "Hit me, or get killed by me. You choose." Faced with Gu Qingfeng's bizarre demand, Shadow Demon was panicked. Her body, already beginning to dissipate from Gu Qingfeng's soul attack, stubbornly retorted, "Do you think defeating me means victory? What you see is just a clone. Your soul power may surpass my clone, but not my true self. In these 200 years, I haven't wasted time. My soul is no longer my weakness." Gu Qingfeng Feng remained steadfast in his approach, reiterating, either hit me or get killed by me. Your choice. Why all the talk? Don't you know that villains often meet their end due to excessive talking? As he spoke, Gu Qingfeng raised the Wood King's sword and shouted, "Sword, come forth." Countless swords planted in the ground began to hum and rise, converging towards Gu Qingfeng. They fused into a colossal sword, several dozen meters long, and struck directly at Shadow Demon. With the sweep of his sword, a thunderous roar followed, and Shadow Demon's figure completely vanished, with even her last wisp of soul dissipating. Gu Qingfeng sighed, "You'd rather die than hit me. People might think you were a noble demon. My money, my head courtesan. Oh well, since this red carp is part of the 7 demon generals, I'll exchange her for a reward." The last exchange gave a good amount. He then returned to the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion and announced with an air of righteousness, "I am Gu Qingfeng, mysterious ranked demon exorcist from the Demon Quelling Bureau. I received a tip early this morning that the top courtesan red carp of the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion might be a demon. I came here undercover and discovered that not only is red carp a demon, but she is also a clone of Shadow Demon, one of the 7 demon generals. She has been slain by me. Now, I suspect there are remnants of the Blood Demon sect within the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion." His statement, delivered with moral fervor, startled the guests, who hastily distanced themselves from the courtesans. Gu Qingfeng's proclamation was mainly a ruse to avoid paying the bill. However, after thorough investigation, 2 remnants of the Blood Demon sect were indeed caught. As the accusation was about to be confirmed, the madam of the pavilion couldn't sit still any longer. She hurriedly stopped Gu Qingfeng from leaving and handed him a handkerchief, shyly inviting him to the backyard to discuss matters. In the backyard, she got straight to the point, hoping Gu Qingfeng would speak favorably for Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion. Gu Qingfeng examined the handkerchief the madam had slipped into his pocket, shaking it in front of his eyes, but nothing appeared. The madam quickly intervened. "Don't be hasty, sir. Look, what's this?" She then pulled out a silver note worth 10,000 taels from her bosom and seductively handed it to Gu Qingfeng. As she left, she promised that if things went well, he could return to the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion for a personal reward. Delighted by the madam's gesture, Gu Qingfeng couldn't help beam with joy. Though I didn't spend the night with the head courtesan, this is a pretty good haul, he thought. Subsequently, the Demon Quelling Bureau issued an announcement commending Gu Qingfeng for his role in identifying and defeating the demon to protect the citizens, rewarding him with 10,000 merit points as an encouragement. It also declared that the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion, for harboring and sheltering a member of the 7 demon generals, would be temporarily closed for reorganization. Additionally, the Bureau offered substantial rewards for any information leading to the capture of remnants of the Blood Demon sect. The Emperor soon heard of Gu Qingfeng's achievements and sent a royal eunuch to bestow honors upon him. Gu Qingfeng, for identifying the demon and capturing remnants of the Blood Demon sect, is hereby granted the title of Baron, along with a chest of gold and jewels and a mansion, the decree announced. Gu Qingfeng, thrilled, respectfully accepted the imperial edict and saw off the royal eunuch. Once the eunuch had departed, he instructed Fatty Wong and Su Fan to transport the awarded gold and jewels to his new residence. He planned to return home first to cultivate and would meet up with them later. After returning to his residence, Gu Qingfeng took 2 bottles of elixirs. Then, he soaked in a medicinal bath and began to practice his cultivation technique. With the internal consumption and external application of the elixirs, combined with the system's enhancement, Gu Qingfeng finally broke through to the 5th level of the energy-gathering realm. He transformed all the pure bright primal energy inside his body into limitless primal energy, making his foundation much more solid than before. However, before he could enjoy his achievement for long, his blood energy began to surge uncontrollably and a look of pain appeared on his face. He wondered what was happening. Could it be another breakthrough to a new realm? But this was the first time he had encountered such a situation and didn't know how to handle it, so he decided to continue cultivating for the time being. Soon, the medicinal liquid in the bathtub began to boil. Gu Qingfeng suddenly let out a loud roar. In the next second, deep and majestic dragon roar emanated from within his body. A dark red crocodile dragon spiraled above his head. At the same time, the system issued a notification. "Congratulations, host, for acquiring the twin-clawed crocodile dragon bloodline." Gu Qingfeng was extremely excited to see this notification. He hadn't expected his bloodline to be that of such a majestic black dragon, but the system quickly poured cold water on his excitement, saying, "Please note, host, that what you have awakened is the crocodile dragon bloodline, not the true dragon bloodline." Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng couldn't help feeling greatly disappointed. This is a significant step down. No wonder it only has 2 claws. But is a crocodile dragon a demon? Does it count as a demon? He wondered. The system quickly replied affirmatively, giving Gu Qingfeng a vast scope for imagination. "Since the crocodile dragon counts as a demon and I possess its bloodline, does that mean I'm also part demon? Does this imply that fighting against myself could make me stronger?" However, the system soon shattered his illusion. The host is merely a human with a part of the crocodile dragon bloodline. You have inherited the crocodile dragon bloodline because your ancestors consumed its blood and survived. Nevertheless, the system offered a friendly tip. Your crocodile dragon bloodline bloodline has only partially awakened. Currently, you possess only the strength of the crocodile dragon. As the concentration of your bloodline increases, you will gain additional abilities. Those with demon bloodlines have exceptional talents and are far more powerful than their peers. Reflecting on this, Gu Qingfeng thought deeply. No wonder the blood demon sect was so powerful back then, with 7 top-tier freaks, yet they were defeated by the Righteous Alliance led by the Demon Quelling Bureau. The reason must lie with these bloodline awakeners, and to speak of it, my ability to enhance my bloodline's concentration is all thanks to the sponsorship of the Blood God. If I want to improve further, the most direct way would be to continue collecting the Blood God's favor. Now it seems I'm really up against the blood demon sect, he contemplated. Upon these thoughts, Gu Qingfeng got dressed and prepared to look for more information about the blood demon sect and the demon bloodline inheritance. Meanwhile, in one of the 4 great families of the Great Flame Dynasty, the Gu family, an elder suddenly opened his eyes. With a flip of his hand, a blood-red pearl emitting a red glow appeared in his palm. He started playing with it on the back of his hand. Suddenly, he crushed the pearl in his hand, and a burst of blood-red light appeared above his head. He then asked someone to call the family head. 2.5 minutes later, a middle-aged man appeared and asked the elder, "Ancestor, you called for me?" The elder slowly spoke. The bloodline bead reacted. "The disturbance comes from 5,000 li to the east. It must be a descendant of our family who has awakened the dragon god bloodline, though it's a low-level awakening." He then instructed the middle-aged man, "The dragon god bloodline should not be lost outside. Send someone to bring him back." The middle-aged man, somewhat incredulous, responded, 5,000 li to the east. That should be the region of Phoenix Tree County. It seems likely to be from the sinful bloodline. I didn't expect they still had descendants after so long. The elder replied indifferently, "Now they have a chance to return to the family. It's a great favor from the main house. Go ahead." After the elder finished speaking, the middle-aged man bowed respectfully and said, "Yes, ancestor." However, while he outwardly agreed to the elder's request, he had no intention of bringing the person back to the family. Since he was able to awaken his talent without the family's help, his talent is indeed commendable. It's a pity he's from the sinful bloodline. He no longer needs to live, he thought. Then, he instructed a man on the roof to go to Phoenix Tree County. In the next second, that man vanished from the spot. At the same time, Gu Qingfeng was holding a true essence pill in one hand and reading a book with the other. The book detailed the Great Flame Dynasty's allowance for demon bloodline inheritances. It stated that if a human could awaken a demon bloodline, it meant their ancestors had survived after consuming demon blood. The demon bloodline had evolved over time, and individuals with such bloodlines were found throughout the Great Flame Dynasty, belonging to various identities, including nobles and even the royal family. The book also mentioned that fully awakening a demon bloodline could enable one to cultivate their original essence blood, which was crucial for a potential rebirth from a drop of blood. However, condensing the original essence blood required gathering one's blood energy, a process so painful it continuously extracted one's vital essence. Despite the warning, Gu Qingfeng immediately swallowed the true essence pill, thinking that the potential to have an extra life was worth the pain. He then began to cultivate, sitting cross-legged as a blue aura emanated from him. Gradually, Gu Qingfeng's face became sweaty, and he endured immense pain while practicing his cultivation technique. His aura slowly turned red. Suddenly, he opened his eyes wide and let out a scream as the red aura intensified. He couldn't hold on and collapsed to the ground, his aura dissipating. But just then, a blood-red pearl appeared, regathering the dispersing aura. With a swish, a drop of blood-red essence appeared in front of Gu Qingfeng. He couldn't resist touching it and thought, "Just one drop of original essence blood nearly cost me half my life. That blood demon actually has 36 drops. He's truly a beast." Suddenly, there was a rapid knocking at the door. Gu Qingfeng quickly stored the original essence blood and called for the person to come in. The door opened, revealing Fatty Wong. Seeing Gu Qingfeng lying on the ground, Fatty Wong looked panicked. He quickly stepped forward to help Gu Qingfeng up, asking, "What's going on? Weren't you in closed-door cultivation? How did you end up like this?" Gu Qingfeng, hearing Fatty Wong's concern, responded lightly, "Just tired from cultivation." However, Fatty Wong misunderstood, thinking to himself, "Master Gu, you should find a better excuse than that. Do you think I've never cultivated? But I get it. Master Gu must have overindulged after visiting the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion, just like me." When Gu Qingfeng saw Fatty Wong smirk, he couldn't help but ask, "Fatty Wong, what are you thinking about?" Fatty Wong then returned to reality and informed Gu Qingfeng, "Master Gu, I came to notify you to report to Dark Mountain County. Lord, he has been dissatisfied since you've been cultivating these past few days. He wants you to report there immediately." Gu Qingfeng, with a smile, said, "He Fenghua, ha, he must be frustrated for not getting any credit. After all, even Fatty Wong and Su Fan gained thousands of merits in the Mirror Demon incident and improved their cultivation. That old guy is probably looking for an opportunity to trip me up." The next second, Gu Qingfeng decisively lay down on the bed to rest, leaving Fatty Wong anxious. "Master Gu, when should we leave?" Seeing Gu Qingfeng's nonchalant attitude, Fatty Wong internally lamented, "Why can't these two mysterious ranked demon exorcists just confront each other directly? Why do I have to be caught in the middle?" Hearing Fatty Wong's Wang's words, Gu Qingfeng, annoyed, turned away from him and said, "We're not going anywhere. I'm going to sleep." But just as Fatty Wang was about to speak, Gu Qingfeng angrily yelled at him, "Get out. Don't disturb my sleep. If there's anything, let that old guy come to me." Then, without waiting for Fatty Wang's response, he fell asleep. Fatty Wang looked helplessly at Gu Qingfeng, but inside, he thought to himself, Master Gu is really impressive in many ways, but after indulging, he's no different from us, even turning his backside towards me. Fatty Wang's thoughts then drifted off again. Backside, that matter. The next second, Fatty Wang's eyes lit up with determination as he stared at Gu Qingfeng. Indeed, staying by Master Gu's side requires more thought to understand the deeper meaning behind his actions, and to avoid pitfalls, he mused. After closing the door, Fatty Wang silently vowed, "Master Gu, rest assured, I will not let Lord He know the truth and will protect your reputation." The next morning, Fatty Wang's shout woke Gu Qingfeng. "Master Gu, it's bad." Startled, Gu Qingfeng cursed, "Fatty Wang, you're done for." Then, he saw Fatty Wang, weighing 180 pounds, pressing down on him, which infuriated Gu Qingfeng to the point of threatening to cut Fatty Wang's salary. Fatty Wang, looking timid, explained, "Master Gu, it's my incompetence. I couldn't help you resolve your troubles. Lord He has reported you to the enforcement hall for your prolonged absence." Hearing this, Gu Qingfeng immediately grabbed Fatty Wang by his clothes, angrily demanding him to repeat it. Fatty Wang did so hesitantly. Enraged, Gu Qingfeng pushed Fatty Wang away and yelled furiously. After calming down, Gu Qingfeng thought, "Luckily, I had a deal with Li Qianren because of the Jade Dragon's secret realm. He will probably intervene on my behalf. Otherwise, with Yi Fenghua's character, who knows what kind of accusations he could level against me at the enforcement hall. This could be more serious than just a fine." The next second, Gu Qingfeng called for Fatty Wang to head to Dark Mountain County, but as he stepped out, Gu Qingfeng cursed inwardly, "A month's salary as a penalty? Damn it, there are only 12 months in a year, and this costs me 1/12 of my annual income. I won't let this go, Yi Fenghua. Just wait." Meanwhile, Fatty Wang, unaware of Gu Qingfeng's inner thoughts, hurriedly followed behind him. 2.5 hours later, at the Dark Mountain County Demon Quelling Bureau office, Gu Qingfeng arrived at the entrance of the hall with Fatty Wang and Su Fan, only to find the room already filled with people. Upon seeing Yi Fenghua, Gu Qingfeng reminded himself not to lose his temper. "Stay calm, keep smiling, and don't let Yi Fenghua get the better of me," he thought. Taking a deep breath, Gu Qingfeng entered with a smile. "Yo, old He, having a meeting?" Yi Fenghua, visibly annoyed, slapped his hand on the chair and scolded, "Impudent, you should address me as Lord He." Gu Qingfeng, unfazed, retorted, "Why should I call you that? Aren't we equals? If I call you Lord He, you should call me Lord Gu, right?" Yi Fenghua responded, "I am the commander of the Dark Mountain County Demon Quelling Bureau, and you are just my deputy. You should address me respectfully." But Gu Qingfeng was not intimidated. "Please, you only became a mysterious rank demon exorcist in your 40s, while I reached the same rank before 20. Give it a few years, and I might be Earth rank or Heaven rank." Gu Qingfeng then patted Yi Fenghua's shoulder and fixed his clothes, saying with a smile, "Have you heard the saying, if you don't respect me today, you'll find me out of your reach tomorrow?" Then he asked Yi Fenghua what he wanted, mocking him for being a tattletale despite his age. He even pulled out a silver note, feigning innocence. "I just found 20,000 silver outside a few days ago. I wonder who was foolish enough to lose it." Yi Fenghua, realizing it was his money, spat out blood, but couldn't admit it in front of everyone. Seizing the opportunity, he announced, "Today's meeting is to discuss the demon eradication missions in Dark Mountain County." Gu Qingfeng looked displeased, but Yi Fenghua, scheming, added, "Since Lord Gu isn't interested, shall we discuss your reassignment now and let you leave early?" Gu Qingfeng, still smiling, replied, "Last time I got a 7 demon generals package. I wonder what surprise awaits me this time." Hearing Yi Fenghua continue, Gu Qingfeng was surprised. "Now that you've been promoted to a mysterious rank demon exorcist, and since Blackwater Village, which you were responsible for, has been destroyed, I have decided to assign the entire demon eradication task of Dark Mountain County to you." Gu Qingfeng, taken aback by Yi Fenghua's unexpected delegation of authority, readily accepted the responsibility. He then questioned Yi Fenghua, "If I'm handling all the demon eradication in Dark Mountain County, what will you do?" Yi Fenghua replied that he would handle strategic deployment from the rear. Gu Qingfeng laughed at this, but Yi Fenghua ignored his reaction, instead praising Gu Qingfeng for his strong abilities and efficiency. He then instructed the others, "From now on, report all demon incidents in your areas to Gu Qingfeng. He's in charge." Gu Qingfeng realized Yi Fenghua's plot. "He's just trying to set me up for failure." After the meeting, Gu Qingfeng asked Fatty Wang and Su Fan to gather recent demon incident reports. They initially agreed, but then advised Gu Qingfeng to back down, knowing that the others were likely to oppose him. Gu Qingfeng, however, assured them that he had a plan and asked them to follow his lead, although they couldn't figure out his strategy. First, Gu Qingfeng focused on understanding the demon incidents. He found out about 3 main cases: an ancient mansion in the northern suburbs of Dark Mountain County where people disappeared, a sound of wedding celebrations at midnight in the southern part of the city, and a deep pool near Greenstone Town where a woman had drowned and children had been taken by a water demon. Demon exorcists scientists had previously investigated these places but returned without success. Deciding to tackle the water demon case first, Gu Qingfeng and his team headed to Greenstone Town. As Gu Qingfeng approached the pool to inspect, Fatty Wang rushed out to stop him, cautioning against rash actions. Su Fan also came up and advised, the pool water will block talismans, and exorcism weapons won't work. The best way is to lure it onto land. As Su Fan's words faded, they suddenly found their vision blocked by a piece of clothing. The next moment, they saw Gu Qingfeng stripping off and jumping into the pool. Fatty Wang, seeing this, sat down, took out some snacks, and began to eat, watching Su Fan's anxious expression with indifference. We can't help in this. We just have to wait for the boss here. Su Fan remained worried about Gu Qingfeng. Despite his expectations, Fatty Wang suddenly said, "What's the matter? Can you beat a water ghost? Do you have a Vajra indestructible body?" Then he advised him to relax and come over to join him in snacking. Meanwhile, in the water, Gu Qingfeng noticed a dark mass ahead. As he swam towards it, his hand grabbed some black strands. Without hesitation, he pulled forcefully, uncovering a black ball, which to his surprise, contained a humanoid figure. As he moved closer to inspect it, the black ball suddenly attacked him. Gu Qingfeng narrowly dodged, realizing it was likely a living entity aiding the water ghost and sensing intruders. Just as Gu Qingfeng was pondering, the black ball dispersed, revealing a pale, blistered female demon. She lunged at Gu Qingfeng with her claws, but he, experienced in exorcism, knew the first step was to feign weakness. He turned and swam towards the surface, but the demon caught him, entangling a strand of hair around his leg. The system then notified him of an attack by the water ghost, adding +1 to his water attribute. Surprised by the minimal attribute increase, Gu Qingfeng debated whether to break free, considering the possibility of the demon escaping if he did. Unable to decide, he simply remained still. After half an hour and countless +1 notifications, the system finally announced a new development. Host's water attribute has reached its limit. Underwater breathing technique acquired. Upon hearing those words, Gu Qingfeng instantly perked up. He then spontaneously began to perform a death struggle for the female demon. However, at this moment, the female demon was quite puzzled. She wondered why this man hadn't drowned after so long. Following this, she once again controlled her hair to wrap around Gu Qingfeng's neck, attempting to strangle him to death. Little did she know, Gu Qingfeng only felt like someone was scratching his neck. Subconsciously, he scratched it and, unexpectedly, the hair snapped off. Seeing this, disbelief filled the female demon's face. How is this human different from the others? He can't be human. But at this moment, Gu Qingfeng pretended as if nothing had happened and rushed towards the female demon at an incredibly fast speed. He then grabbed her hair and, with a flirtatious posture, wrapped it around his leg, trying to make the female demon believe he was just a person struggling at death's door. Unfortunately, the female demon saw through Gu Qingfeng's intentions, immediately let go of the hair in his hand, and turned to leave. I'm not a fool. However, looking at the hair in his hand, Gu Qingfeng's face was filled with disappointment. I didn't expect that my acting couldn't fool her, and then released the hair, looking towards the female demon. All of you doubt my acting skills. It's really unforgivable. If I don't drain all the water attributes from your body today, I'll take your surname, he declared. As soon as he finished speaking, Gu Qingfeng's body contracted as he began to gather strength. In a whoosh, he appeared behind the female demon. Due to the excessive speed, he used his hand to break sharply on her shoulder, causing her to be shaken and vomit from the powerful impact. Following a beautiful turn, he appeared in front of the female demon. You think you can escape from me? Before the female demon could react, Gu Qingfeng pressed his palm on her forehead. To deal with you, I only need to use the most basic method. Does it feel desperate? However, the female demon did not respond to Gu Qingfeng. Instead, she suddenly opened her mouth wide and let out a series of piercing screams. The next second, Gu Qingfeng felt dozens of water swords attacking him. Meanwhile, the system's voice rang out again. Congratulations, host. Your water attribute has reached its limit. Talent ability water control acquired. Seeing this, Gu Qingfeng became even more excited. I didn't expect this female demon to be so weak, yet she actually provided me with 2 abilities. However, when the female demon saw that Gu Qingfeng was unharmed, she had already opened her mouth wide, ready for the second wave of attack. Immediately afterwards, countless water arrows appeared, rushing towards Gu Qingfeng with the speed of lightning. Gu Qingfeng, facing the female demon's second wave of attack, not only didn't dodge, but also swiftly used his water control ability. He instantly blocked hundreds of water arrows aimed at him, effortlessly neutralizing her attack. With a smirk on his face, he wondered if she could provide him with a third ability. Seeing her about to flee, Gu Qingfeng quickly lunged at her, tightly entwining his limbs around the female demon. He covered her mouth. Don't scream. As long as you behave and cooperate, I promise I won't hurt you. After saying this, Gu Qingfeng bound the female ghost tightly and took out his Wood King sword, placing it against her neck. The next second, the female demon surrendered. However, Gu Qingfeng had no intention of letting her go. As long as you make me happy, I'll release you, he declared. As the female demon was about to speak, Gu Qingfeng slapped her, stunning her. Didn't I tell you not to scream? Don't you know your screams are unpleasant? The female demon, treated violently, could only make low whining sounds. Fortunately, Unfortunately, Gu Qingfeng understood what she was trying to express. After some communication, he learned that the female demon needed to make a sound before she could fire water arrows. Understanding the situation, Gu Qingfeng was helpless, but to gain the ability, he had to cover his ears. The next second, the female demon howled with full strength, but the power of the water arrows could no longer harm him. Gu Qingfeng was then annoyed. Is it because my water attribute has increased, so these arrows don't affect me much? Seeing this, without a word, he grabbed the female demon's hair, threw it forcefully, and also created a water cyclone. Eventually, the female demon's hair was pulled out, and she flew out, hitting a rock before stopping. Gu Qingfeng then staggered towards her, patted her body, and gave her two choices: to submit or to be killed by him. Unsurprisingly, the female demon chose the former to save her life. Seeing this situation, Gu Qingfeng relaxed and exclaimed, "This female ghost is so tough. It took hundreds of rounds before she agreed to submit." Then he began to vomit. The female ghost, however, looked at him speechlessly. "If you had said so earlier, I would have agreed." Suddenly, Gu Qingfeng turned to the female demon. "Are you cursing me in your heart?" The female demon was frightened by Gu Qingfeng's question and immediately shook her head repeatedly in denial. Watching the obedient female demon, Gu Qingfeng directly put her into his ring. However, as soon as she was taken in, her face showed confusion, probably bewildered by this unfamiliar place. Gu Qingfeng, after dealing with the female demon, began to move towards the water's surface. The next second, he burst out of the water with an ostentatious attitude, drenching Fatty Wong and Su Fan completely. They both exclaimed in surprise, greeting Gu Qingfeng as Lord Gu, who then landed perfectly in front of them and promptly dressed himself. Fatty Wong asked if the water ghost was dealt with, to which Gu Qingfeng confirmed positively. Suddenly, Gu Qingfeng proposed to take them to a restaurant to celebrate. Su Fan was delighted at the idea, but Fatty Wong was a bit worried, muttering to himself, "Gu Qingfeng is a miser. He wouldn't make us pay, would he?" 2 minutes later, the trio arrived at the restaurant. Meanwhile, at the Demon Quelling Bureau's branch, a guard was reporting to Yifenghua. Gu Qingfeng and others went to the restaurant after dealing with the water ghost. Yifenghua, who had just undressed and was preparing to bathe, listened to the report with disdain. Gu Qingfeng, he doesn't know his own weight. However, as soon as Yifenghua dipped his foot into the bucket, a bunch of hair suddenly appeared, tightly wrapping around his leg. When he bent down to see what was happening, an ugly ghost face appeared before him. Yifenghua was startled, but quickly reacted, forcefully striking down at the ghost face in the water. With a loud bang, the bathtub shattered into pieces. Standing there completely bare, Yifenghua realized that the ugly female ghost had vanished. Astonished, he exclaimed, "That female ghost's ability was like a weak chicken. How could she disappear right under my nose?" He then cautiously checked his surroundings, wondering if someone was controlling her from behind. At that moment, a voice came from outside the door, asking what had happened. Yifenghua quickly responded that nothing was wrong, but then he realized something was amiss. He turned around and discovered that the female ghost had stolen his clothes. As he pondered whether modern female ghosts were all so indecent, Yifenghua suddenly smelled something burning. He peeked outside the screen and was horrified to see his house engulfed in flames. Instinctively wanting to escape the fire, Yifenghua then remembered he was undressed. He realized this was all Gu Qingfeng's ploy, thinking, "Such petty tricks to embarrass me in front of my subordinates?" Wishful thinking. Yifenghua then used his power to push back the flames and leaped towards a less fiery area. Just then, his subordinates shouted about the fire and almost ran into Yifenghua, who disappeared from their sight in a flash. They were left wondering if they had just seen a figure. Yifenghua, still naked, dared not walk in lit areas and had no choice but to run towards the depths of a small forest. As he entered the forest, Gu Qingfeng's mirror image clone suddenly appeared behind him, grinning at his back. Meanwhile, the fire caught the attention of his colleague, the one-eyed woman, and others who decided to investigate Yifenghua's house. Gu Qingfeng's clone reappeared, plotting to make them meet at his location. He thought he just needed to ensure Yifenghua didn't escape shyly. In the dark forest, the naked Yifenghua ran intensely, not noticing Gu Qingfeng's clone. He was tripped by Gu Qingfeng's sweeping kick and fell face first. Gu Qingfeng left a message of enjoy and vanished. Meanwhile, the one-eyed woman and the others arrived and were stunned by the sight. Before them, Yifenghua's bare backside under the moonlight. Just as they approached, a voice shouted, "Lord He," and Yifenghua turned around in a flamboyant spin, leaving everyone in disbelief. At that moment, a dazzling light emanated from between Yifenghua's legs, blinding the onlookers. The one-eyed woman, embarrassed, raised her weapon, and with a snap, something broke, followed by Yifenghua's cries of agony and the worried calls of his subordinates. Meanwhile, at the Drunken Immortal Tavern, the mirror image clone returned to Gu Qingfeng, bringing with it all the images of the event. Gu Qingfeng laughed so hard he could hardly catch his breath, puzzling Fatty Wong, who asked what was so funny. Gu Qingfeng, looking at the moon outside, remarked, "Tonight's moon is really white and round."